This is Tammy with Barn Quilts. The barn quilt I am making is called Blessed Glory. It was a 3 foot by 3 foot made out of boards. The boards were 8 feet long, so I had to cut them down to 3 foot lengths. It took a total of 10 3 foot long boards to make the face of the barn quilt. Now that I have all of the boards cut down to length, I ran each of them through the planer to make them all smooth as possible and also to make them the same thickness. Once I got them out of the planer, I brought them back and was getting ready to sand all of the ends down. As you can see, I use 80 grit sandpaper for this. So once I get each of the ends done on both ends, I then can start to assemble. Now that I have the ends and the face sanded, I came back with the air compressor and blew the excess dust off of them. The face of the board was too wide, so I took the table saw and ripped a 1/2 inch off of one board to make it 36 inches. Since I had the table saw ready to go, I went ahead and split one board in half for these cross braces for the back of the board when I do the zipper. Now I'm starting to assemble the boards. I'll connect the outside two boards with the cross brace to make it 36 inches. I did make a mistake, so this is where I'm going back and adjusting the first cross brace, and then I'll do that to the second brace and then attach all of the rest as soon as this gets finished. Now that I have the cross boards attached to the two outer face boards, I use a level to line up all of the inside boards with the two outside boards to make them all flush. At this point, I add the Z-brace. I am horrible with angles, and I did not want to torture y'all. But the sad part of this is once I got everything together, I realized it wasn't stable enough. So here in a second, I'm going to have to take this all apart and redo it. At this point, I had already went and primed this board and had decided I needed to bring it back down and beef up the Z-brace on the back. So that is why it is laying on a moving blanket so I don't mess up the face of the board itself. I added a center brace onto the back, and then off of this center brace, I was able to add the Z brace back on in two parts. Alright, I am really bad at angles, but I was so proud of myself. I was able to, for the most part, figure this out. So I went, cut one on a 45-degree angle, got the measurement, did this on the first part, the second part, and lo and behold, it worked out. Whenever I get finished with a project, I automatically clean up my workspace. So here I'm vacuuming everything from the miter saw. I did take the cover off from around it, and I have rebuilt that, and you will see that in a later video. Once I get done with this, I take the air compressor and I use that to blow off the work table. And that is Imogene, who is a 13-year-old corgi waddling around behind me. Alright, now I have moved up from the barn workshop to the woman cave, which is an old carport that is framed in. I use only one coat of primer. It is a well-known brand name primer. It's first time I've used it on Barn Quilts. The only issue I found with it is when you go to draw lines on it, you can still see the lines through after you erase, so you have to go back over it with primer, and you'll see that later on in the video. All of my barn quilts start out in a grid pattern. My grid patterns are anywhere between a 4x4 up to a 12x12. The one that I am doing now is a 9 by 9. So I draw out the grid pattern first, and then off of that grid pattern, I then start drawing the actual designs. Each of my barn quilts start with me making a drawing, and that is the sheet of paper that you see there. Off of that drawing, I then know where to draw within the grid patterns the design that is given. As I draw the lines of the desired image, I then erase the lines that are no longer needed. Once I get all the lines erased, with this primer in particular, I then go back over those erased lines with primer, so when you go to paint, you don't see them. I only buy yellow, red, blue, black, and white, and then everything else I mix my own colors, and that is what I'm doing here. I did add too much black into this red because all I want to do was darken the red a little, and you'll see that I had to make another jar and add a little of the first one into it. This is just trial and error for me. Basically, I do this a lot to where I have to make extra colors. So later on down the line, I would probably use that red with something else. I am using a total of 4 colors in this barn quilt. This is the first coat of light blue. starting white in the middle. There is no rhyme or reason as to where I begin or where I paint. It's pretty much wherever your arm placement is. You just got to be aware of what is wet, what is dry, where you can place your arm. I let blue dry before I started white. That way I don't have to worry about sticking your arm into it and then transferring that into a place that it doesn't need to be. If you do that, you're going to end up with more work than you started. Here in a second, you're going to hear some extra like noise. That is basically my husband just came home. Right there's his feet. He just got home from work and he came out to talk to me and to see what I was up to. You can also hear the yard dogs barking. Now that you let the first coat of white dry completely, I've now started on the first coat of red. This one wasn't too difficult to decide where to paint. With everything being dry, I was able to just do all of the reds that I needed to in the order as I turned the board. The fourth and final color for this board was dark blue. I pretty much with it, I started on the outside, and then once it completely dried, I then moved to the inside and painted it. Alright, I now have a first coat on all four colors except for that little bitty square up there above where I just put the red paint at. Y'all, it was late at night and I just completely forgot that one. But here I am starting the second coat of red. I will put a second coat on all three of those that you will see. In the end, I did do 3 coats on all on all 4 colors. And then in some of them, I go back and I do complete touch-ups on all of them, and some of them get a 4th coat. No matter how hard you try, you will get paint from one color into the next. It's going to happen. It goes by just arm placement. It might be your paintbrush has a little bit of its hair stuck out and it's marking in the other one, whatever it might be. I laid a paintbrush down and accidentally stuck it onto another color. That's what touch-ups are for. You catch them, you go back, you touch it up, and you just try to be as careful as possible. But y'all, we're all human. We all make mistakes, and that's why there's more paint. Alright, we're starting to get down to the bottom of the second coat. Like I said, I will be coming back. There will be a third coat on all 4 colors. And then after that, there are the touch-ups. So when you see the very end of this, you say, well, you still see, A, B, or C. Well, those are addressed in the third coat and then the touch-ups as well. Here is just an example of me doing brush cleanups. After every 1 to 2 colors, I will come in, wash my brushes, clean them up. I do not always put my brushes into the paint thinner cleaner. It just depends on how bad they are. Some of them are fine enough to be rinsed out and then put up to dry, and the other ones, they just need a little more love. Alright, after putting all 3 coats of the 4 colors on the board, I decided to do the distress look on it, so I took it back down to the barn workshop and just sanded them all down. You will see I sanded it, and then I used the air compressor to blow the dust off, and also a rag to get some of the excess off as well. When I get finished, I always brand my barn quilts with a bar R. If anyone's interested in me making this barn quilt or another one for them, you can contact me. The information is at the end of this video. Thank y'all for watching, and love you.